John Lemcool. Welcome to a nice new live stream. I have all sorts of cool cameras set up so we can go to the whole desktop. We got an over camera. We have just the webcam, so hello. Oh wow, so there you go. And we can go back to this. You should see this frame I have overhead. It's pretty cool. Anyway, welcome to one and all. Let me get our lovely chat going and seeing if you guys are showing up and if the stream is actually working. Tube live, go to my dashboard. Let's hope it's working. Let's see here. It says live. Cool. So there. Love the M3. Yes. And this is actually a very special M3. This is the M3 I did voicing on. And the touchscreen has gone out. And so it doesn't work. I can't touch the touchscreen. I can't do anything with it. So it's actually just like a shell of a keyboard. The controllers are fixed at controller numbers and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. But I still love the feel of it. And so these are some of the new patches you guys get this week. This is a whole new category. There's 2 new categories I've added to the voicing. By the way, for those of you new, this is our plugin that is less than a month old. This is Unify. We are showing version 1.0.5. And right now, those of you on PC are on 1.0.2. You on the Mac are at 1.0.3. So everybody will be synergized to 1.0.5 later this week. And it's a rather major update. We've decided, just because of the things we want to do as far as our what we call binaries or applications, the plugins, the plugin scanner, which we've updated and revised, that's not supposed to live in the shared folder where the Plugin Guru folder is now. So this update will actually split into 2 separate Plugin Guru Unify folders. And so there will be a video that you can double click to watch with the installer to make sure that you understand what's happening. You don't have to do anything. It's really easy to go, oh my gosh, these should all be together. And so you try to move the data and then you can end up in a nightmare. But we'll have, it should set everything up automatically for you. But there's some really cool things we've added to Unify this week. And so I want to show, actually in the last 2.5 weeks since we got back from the NAMM show. Starting with, so here's our what we've done for Unify. Number 1 is we've got smart installers. On the PC, we'll ask, where is your VST2 folder? Make sure that it remembers that so that it can install things properly, know where things are at. Same on the Mac. We now have Catalina support. It's smarter as far as to people that have moved their folders to different locations. It can track that in some ways. It's crazy how dumb installers are. And it's also, we're learning how crazy it is, how little documentation there is for installers. I have friends that work at Apple and I ask them for help and they're like, well, we don't know because we send those to a department that all they do is installers at Apple. So they send their applications for stuff. I'm not even going to say who it's about or what it's about, but they have a department at Apple that's just for the installers. And so they know everything about installers because they know everybody else doesn't have to know about installers. So to all of us developers, it's a lot of trial and error and learning, and it's exhaustive. It's crazy. But Shane is figuring it out and rocking. So that's really, really cool. We've added the new scanner that will no longer get stuck in loops. It was doing a thing where it would come up to a plugin that it's not compatible with or that would crash it and it'd go, oh, it crashed. So it'd go back to the beginning. It's supposed to write into a list the name of that plugin that made it crash, but it would go back to the beginning before it wrote the file. We fixed things like that. So that's all more reliable. Also in 1.0.5, we have added mono legato Okay, let's see here. I can go over to my spiffy software and go just to the desktop, which is zoom into here. So I can go like this. As you can see, here I can actually make this bigger. Check this out. We'll make this like a zoom in desktop. So if I go like this and make that bigger and go like this and make this bigger. There. So now you can see like the whole plugin, right? So we have added mono legato and retrigger modes and glide. And at the moment when you're in polyphonic, glide is grayed out. Not this update, but the next update, we're working on some insanely cool things for polyphonic glide. Things I haven't seen elsewhere. What we are doing, I have not seen these parameters in this way before listed. So we'll talk about those things when we get there, but it's very cool to be doing things, having worked with so many synthesizers. I know how things work, and it's really easy to work with the programmer. The synergy between Shane and me being able to go, dude, I would love to be able to, and he's like, oh, I could do that. And other people haven't thought of doing that yet. So we have all sorts of things like that as we continue to develop that are really crazy. So this is a... I made this slow, right? So all the basses, I've gone through and updated them. Let's see here. Let's get the desktop to be for this. Let's do the whole down webcam. Oh, that's not the wrong one. So big HDMI. Here we go. There. And I have the jam over here, so I can use this as a mod wheel too and freeze it. I think there's a latency. I'm seeing the latency myself inside of the software here for when I go between playing. Yeah, the webcam up above, I guess it takes it hours to go through the cables and stuff like that. So anyway, we have legato. Let me show you some other places where legato is really cool. That would be, of course, lead synths. You're right. Good. I loved all you guys yelling that out. So we have the... Let's see the... And we can do some cool things. This one here called Expressions is mono legato. This is what's so cool with this model of having separate layers, being able to be complete synthesizers. You can't do this inside of your Pigments or Omnisphere or so forth because, well, you could. It'd just be multiple patches in Omnisphere. You can't in Pigments at all, but this layer is set to mono legato. This layer is set to mono retrigger. And this sound here is, so we got a right? And then down here, if you right click, you can just toggle solo. It's breath and it's retrigger. So I can get the, put those two together. You know, you can do all that kind of stuff. So it's cool that they could be separate and be retriggering in one mode and legato on another layer. You can have multiple layers doing all sorts of cool things like that. Still getting big latency problems with Keyscape. Avenger Falcon inside of Unify. That probably is a USB setting. Shane, if you have any suggestion for latency with the bigger programs, I don't know an answer to that one. Sorry. Other lead things, check this out. So I've made some what I call power leads And these are ones where, in this case, it's 4 oscillators. If other people have worked with Keyscape, Avenger, Falcon, and are having good success, can you share information about if you found it had latency and you found a way to fix it? Can you share that in the thread? I like the idea of us being a community that can help each other, because they don't have that latency problem for me. So, yes, forums.pluginguru.com is we have our, oh, wait, cancel. We have our own forums to share information, ask questions. Forums, it always does this where it goes there. So say go here. I gotta go visit the site and then. So we have right here our own forums where you can ask questions about Unify, feature requests, share your patches and presets. So people are sharing patches and stuff. So please go to forums.pluginguru.com to get information about that. East-West Play, we know we have problems with. There's others, including like Slate. We have problems. E-Licenser. So this first update, we're not addressing those types of issues. This is to get the installer to be smoother, plugin scanner to work better. And then I've had a chance to flesh out the voicing some more. So we will be updating to compatibility is one of those things probably to look at trying to solve next. It's just a can of worms, and we can't guarantee we work with everything, but we will work at getting more compatible with certain things that we know we have communication with the companies and we can work with. So this is a 4 oscillator. There's a couple variations. And then this one's nuts. This is 8 layers of an 8 oscillator unison patch I made on my, over here on Maxwell. I have a cloud that can do 8 oscillators, which sounds incredibly beautiful. And then this is 8 of those layered with random sample starts so that okay? And now it gets more sick. Are you ready for the true sick? I asked Shane to include lag on pitch bend and on the controllers, mainly on pitch bend in this example. And also we have it spec'd out so that we have a separate pitch bend up and a separate pitch bend down. And you see I have different values. So I have 2 octaves up and I have 10 octaves up when I'm going up versus down. Each of these 8 have different settings for every layer, which means sick. Gets even more sick because the other direction, pitch bend up, goes to a chord. Isn't that cool? Not only that, but I asked also when we were designing Guru Sampler for it to be real time. This is one thing a lot of synthesizers don't do, where I can go to this, I could say like this. You can in real time change the pitch bend values for each layer while you're playing it so you can hear what it is going to do. So we're getting into pretty stupid sick territory with our first update. It's beautiful stuff. Now these are features I'm showing you that are exclusive to the Guru sampler. These don't work if you call up Serum or something else. None of those plugins can do this. None of them. The only one I can think of that can do that is Absinthe. And it doesn't have an 8 oscillator sample that's layered 8 times. So, if you like unison, if you like lead sounds, this is just about one of those cool... and we're just starting. We have so many places that nobody have gone before that we will keep going. So we're just warming up. Let me show you some other stuff that's really cool. Another area that we have added, there's 425 patches coming. So it's 25 new patches coming with this. Good evening, everybody. I see new people showing up. Welcome. We're covering the new features and new patches that are in Unify 1.0.5, which will be coming out later this coming week. We have updated the scanner. We've updated the installers. When it installs, it's going to separate into 2 separate sets of file data. The documents stay in the shared. The binaries for the VST plugins for our scanner, they go into the applications folder. So we will have a double-click link on the install that will go to a YouTube video so you can watch the install process just to make sure that you understand what it's doing. You don't have to, it's very natural to go, oh no, I got to remerge these and fix it, and you break things. So you don't want to do that. But we're also showing the patches with the mono legato and stuff. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of bass splits. So here's a... So you got that kind of stuff. One thing that we've done, if you've noticed, I have MIDI effects doing all sorts of cool things in this. This is a really cool electric piano. And I have it set with 2 MIDI effects. These are included inside of the presets folder over here now when you go to presets. Oh, this one doesn't have them, but it will have them in the final build where it says, here, let's do this. Let's save these really quick because it's supposed to say save layer preset. If you set up a preset, call up whatever you like for that layer. You can go save layer preset, layer filter out pitch bend. Let's just call them that for now. And then filter out sustain pedal. And as you can see, MIDI 2 is set to the bass to get rid of sustain pedal. And pitch bend is subbed out for, well, you should be paused over here, for the bass. And what this means is I can play chords. So I can play the bass. It doesn't sustain while the piano does. And pitch bend, instead of going into patches and having to program it out, we can use MIDI filters, and then you just route the MIDI filter that's doing, you double click each one of these. This one here, it says suppress pitch bend. So that is why this says filter out pitch bend. This one here is setting sustain pedal, it could emulate, like our arpeggiator, the blue arp. It doesn't listen to sustain pedal. So you put this before the blue arp and now it listens to sustain pedal. Here we have it suppressing it so that the bass. This is from back in my days making combinations for Korg synthesizers. We have a whole page of pitch bend, modulation, joystick Y minus, which we don't have to deal with, all being enabled and disabled. And we would set up the patches like this. So I'm taking that voicing status, that setting that I use for my voicing. I can do that in Unify, which I can't really do anywhere else. We also have really cool, this is a cool, nice plush. Stuff like that, cat and mouse. That's really cool. Cinematic enchantment. So we have a whole bunch of bass splits of different types to work with. So those are fun. And then lastly, the other thing that we've added, that I've added, that I love probably more than anything are the latch splits. This is a whole new category. There was one example that I put in piano that I've put in now into latch split, and that's piano rain. This is in its simplest form. Anytime you see over here the little L buttons, that means that there's a latch mode. And we're going to actually make it smarter in the next update after this. But for now, it just glows up green. We've added a latch release down here, so that if you have something sustaining and you want it to no longer sustain and you can't remember what key you played, just hit this and it will stop any notes that are sustaining. So if I play high C, this is rain from Costa Rica. This beautiful rain in La Fortuna. It was just raining on these big pedals in front of me, and I had, where is it? Where's my field recorder? Oh. Maybe it's downstairs. I've been doing some recordings with it. I have a little Tascam field recorder. And so that's playing on high C. Everything else below that, these other two, we have Rainio piano and then the Steinway grand piano. And I'm using Klangfalter, and I'm going into a plastic bag for my convolution effect, so that's the effect on the piano. The idea behind these patches is that you will play these for hours. You can literally get lost. Okay. Meaning of life. This is taking it to an extreme. This is 6 layers on one note. And the way this works, These are on a mono latch, which means anytime I play a new note in this range, oh, you can't see that. Let me go to a split. So we go webcam desktop. So anytime that you play in this range, it re-triggers all 6 layers. And the 6 layers, I'm gonna use my right mouse. So this is a crescendo violin with reverb. This is Filterscape. This is from Fast Motion that I recorded for Mega Magic Viola. Right? This is from Creaturess. This is Kathy Talbot, my dear friend that now lives in Mexico. She sang these Latin phrases, and I use Melodyne to remove all the melody pitch-wise, so it's just, it has her singing, but it's no pitch, so it's a pad now. She's going like, originally, so I just removed the with Melodyne so that it stays in pitch. Okay. Then we have a huge, big solo no. Kathy, her voice is again, but this is no. And it's just this huge bass tone. Jaws pad has a little bit of programming to it. It's got a resonant sample and hold LFO. And then we have the ocean from Costa Rica. And you put those all together and you have the meaning of life. And then in the right hand, you have solo violin. You have the synth. This is from Del Norte. Actually, I need to name this. This is supposed to be Ironside Mountain. Okay, I'll have to remember to name it. And then we have a flute from Mega Magic Bells and Winds. And you put those all together. It's crazy. Isn't that beautiful? And if I want to stop it and I don't remember what note I played, just click down here and it stops. Of course, if you have the meaning of life, you got to also have the meaning of death. Which has cello and a whole different set. Ethereal Spirits is one where the lower end is a nice drone. And then, so if you like moody piano, you're gonna love this. If you don't, then you might have allergic reactions because these are... the mod wheel. And you notice it's very slowly going up and down. That's because of the lag on the modulation controls. And I could have this go down, let's say 2 octaves, and go up 2 octaves, and really slow lag here too. So it's fun to have these types of parameters that you don't find elsewhere. In our humble little Guru sampler. We have another one, the Never Solution, which is more complex. It's 3 layers. Do film scoring and piano stuff, these are great. They're great for beginning of dance tracks where all of a sudden you're gonna have to drop and take off. And then zero visibility is with guitars, so that and here's one where the mod wheel, if we go over here to our controllers, brings in a rhythm. And the guitar even changes, as you can tell. So there's all sorts of fun places you can go. What's nice with this is that, okay, hit the stop button, because I don't remember what note I played. You could go easily to the guitar, the Steel Martin, and instead of it being this, you could go to all your instruments that you own, go to Ample Sound, and go to the guitar that they have that's really nice. Or your favorite contact library or your other favorite plugin. Because you have access to all of your plugins just right here or by alphabetical if you make your own subsets, you can easily sub out any of the parts you're hearing that Guru Sampler is playing. You can easily substitute all these out with your own contact sample libraries, get Symphobia, get the, I mean, my gosh, you could go completely crazy if you wanted to with all sorts of things like that. So these are starting points to give you ideas of things you can do. Yeah, a number of what I'm showing you are new things coming in the next update for Unify. So, and then there's all the pianos, the keys, all the other stuff that is included. And I've been going through all the patches and renaming so that the mod wheel says what it's going to do. So each one of these has something for the name of what it does. So it's getting dark. I use different names for different things, you know. So. Then we have all the BPM stuff, which is so fun to play with. Yeah, Dr. Rock, thank you. Let's speed this up. Oh, you're gonna do that to me, okay. There we go. Now this is one. So you have the ability to mix these. We have two views because there's so much going on. We need to go to the, what we call the, what do we call you? Do I have tips turned off? Let's see, if we go to settings, show tooltips. Yeah, so I can show you the names of things as we're going along. Yeah, this is scrolling versus the accordion layers. So the scrolling lets you see all the parameters. It's really fun. And browse. Other features we have added to Unify. Right here in the right corner is a lightning bolt. This used to be a circle. It was just a lot more work than needed to be. Like, click the circle and then select rebuild patch database. You just click this and it will rebuild your patch database now. You don't have to go looking under any nested menus. Another thing that we added, this is more for future stuff for us, unless you're using specific MIDI effects, is the ability now to have no MIDI channel assigned to a layer. So that if you want to set up things where you've got different techno things happen, actually you have it right here as well for the MIDI channel. If you're gonna have a MIDI effect doing like bleep blop bloop, you know, techno kind of things for like a live set, you don't want to have your keyboard changing your bleep blop bloops. So you can set your MIDI effect layers to none if you want them just to run as a MIDI effect layer, just doing their thing. There's certain arpeggiators that work that way. If we were to go down here to, I think I've got it here. All MIDI effects. No, this, yeah, like SY collection. This is one that works in kind of a bleep, blop, bloop. It's got the, this kind of stuff going on. And then you call it different presets. Right? And then you want to have another one doing something, and you don't want your MIDI notes to be affecting. And this is currently going to number 1, which is the I think this is, who's playing? So yeah, if you don't want to have MIDI notes affecting your bleep, blop, bloop sequencers, we now have MIDI none you can set up. We've had some requests from some people. Oh, let's see. Let me stop like that way. Requests from some people to have, because our layer, the effects receive MIDI data because they are listening to all the MIDI data going through, and there's certain new effects. There's a reverb I have where there's all sorts of controls and MIDI notes will actually change parameters in the actual reverb. And so we will have, probably in the next update, we're going to have an area where there'll be a little M button that you can click that will mute MIDI for that specific effect layer. So that's something that we have coming. It's not in this update, but we're aware of that fact and that request. We listen to a lot of your requests and try to put them in if they're possible and stuff like that. So some of those are requests that we've had people ask for. Yeah, the nano control works great for that kind of stuff. Now I've got some customer questions, which I think I will pop onto. Let me see if there's any. I'm going to just read this for a second. Yeah, latch is something that's really easy to add. Right here is where the MIDI source, here's where your MIDI effects are. Raw MIDI is your normal MIDI in, and then right here are your 2 latch modes. So you can take any patch. We could go to any patch. Let's go to a pad. Let's build our own latch really quick to show you how fun it is to do. Say we say Insane Rain Dark Dreams, right? So this is this nice. Now, there's 2 types of latch. There's one type of latch that's poly, and it's not on until you click the button, and now it's on. What poly means, let me show the keyboard, and you see from top down too, right? Let me make sure, I'll change this view to this view. This is a little bit more logically laid out. So when I play a chord with latch, it's latched. It's loud. And it won't stop until I play those same notes again. Which can get to become confusing if you play. It's remembering all the notes I played. This is why we put this in. So you can just hit this when you need it to stop. And we've heard the request. We will be adding in the future so that you can have software controllers to this, to bypasses, to the mutes. Right now, if you right click, there is no setting up MIDI controls to these, but that is on the list to come for sure. So that you could be able to just have a switch on your controller that will stop the latch. But polyphonic that you build, if you're familiar with Omnisphere, they have a latch mode that's like this. It's polyphonic. And you just play what you want. And either you play those same notes again, or else you hit the little stop button here. The other mode that we have is mono latch, and it's one note. I don't think it plays chords, just one note. But when you play a new note, it cancels the other note. So it's only one note at a time. This is specifically for drones. And I'm gonna right click on my top. Let's do this. Let's go to zoom in on the webcam and make sure this is down like this. So I'm gonna right click right here so it says list of MIDI key number, and I can just play. At this I want to stop at B and then close this. So I now have limited this to that range. And I can go now add a new layer, and I could choose anything I want as a preset, or I could just say empty. Let's say we want zebra on top of this. So let's go here to alphabetical list, which for me goes forever. Zebra 2. And let's find a patch that's sufficiently cool for this. We could go over here to well, on top of zebra, at least I have things labeled by pads so I can find them. I don't, it's once you get used to the system and you just can find pads easily, it's like, why doesn't everybody do this to make it easy, you know? Now I need to go to this because you can see it's covering the whole range. So I'm gonna right click on the bottom note and then play a note on my keyboard, C. So I've made it so that B2 and below, and I'm gonna go like this, check this out. I'm gonna say duplicate, and I'm gonna make, let's go to here and let's choose something else from this. Let's say we wanna have maybe smaller sound. And I should have, oh, they're reversed now. So if I hit stop and then hit play, I have now a layer with 2 layers. And then I'm gonna copy this. So we say duplicate because it has the same settings, and let's transpose this one up +7. So I've made a chord, I've made 3 parts into a mono latch layer. And then I still have zebra. And when you turn it down. So it's very easy to build your own latch. See how easy that was? It's really fun. Once you realize how simple it is to have everything in front of you and have all these choices, this is a big sandbox to play in. So it really makes it super easy to use in this type of way. I had a customer question that was, I want to have it so that I can take a sound like a pad. Let's take something complex like this. And then I want to make it so all of this can go segue into rhythmic, right? How would you do that? So let's go back to Logic and make sure that I'm running for clock. I'm gonna go over here and say empty auxiliary. Oh, here, first, thank you. Let's go add an auxiliary bus. I'm gonna make it empty. And as you can see, these are all popped up. So zebra, I don't want it to go to this auxiliary bus, but everybody else is going to the auxiliary bus, and I'm gonna turn down the direct, which means these sounds are all going only into this auxiliary bus, and we're gonna call this pump house. So I have an auxiliary bus. When I play a note now, this volume is controlling all 3 layers at once. This is why auxiliary buses are so powerful. And then I'm gonna go here to, this is only for audio effects, dynamics, pump house. And let's reverse it a little bit, like more of a side chain. Maybe I want to make it more complex. There's a really cool thing you can do where it's like, that's kind of right, but let's go halftime and then double click here and here. We will have tools to do all this kind of stuff in the future. Give me 4 that are up and then double click. So I have my own pump, right? And I can then right? So this is what I want for my, I want a weird, let's keep it simple, just to keep it simple. So reset. Right? Now we have this control right here. which is kind of unique. Other LFO tool type effects doesn't have a depth. So what's nice with this is, well, some have a mix, I believe, so they can do the same thing. So we have 100% or none. So all I need to do is go to my controls, go to linked parameters, and there's something here that's set up, so let's delete that because we don't want that. We just go to auxiliary bus. Pump house is the name of that layer. Go to the effects. Here's pump house and depth. And it's already set up. So now I can play from a pad. I'm gonna bring up my mod wheel. Now it's changing other parameters in the sound. So I'd want to go looking over here and go, oh, I want you guys to go brighter, not darker. So I can go from no pad, just a pad, I'm not happy with zebra. Let's find a better sound for zebra. There we go, the Shy Galaxy. That sounds more appropriate. And then when I bring up the mod wheel, and if I want zebra to join the fun, all I have to do is turn down the direct and crank it up into this. And now they're all. And it's so snappy. Pump house is so snappy because it's sample accurate timing. So I could go over here, call up another Unify. Let's go over here to the drums just to add a little rhythm, just so you can hear how tight it is. It's just crazy. So we'll go drums, drum kits. Oh, these are BPM drums. So I'm gonna go up here to drum kit. Where's my metronome? Super tight. And what's also fun, let's go over here and let's set up this control number 2. Let's go to the auxiliary pump house effect beat division. And notice a new thing that I had Shane. Whenever you add any type of control now to these real-time controls, no matter what it is, if I say filter cutoff, that's when it's up high, but say auxiliary send amount for the dry or direct send. Boom. Whatever it is, it will jump to that value for its value setting automatically. So beat division, whatever it is, this starts there, which is really nice. So if we say beat division, and from there, so now when we play, let's see, get our sequencer playing. Then I can get Unify playing again. Where are you at? Controller number 2. Let's have it go all the way up to max. timing is super, super, super cool. I love how it's right there on the money. So really quickly, if you want to start from scratch, let's go to the Guru sampler, call up a preset just like the Battleborn. Go over here. This is the fast way to add pump house. Go dynamics, pump house. Typically, you're going to want it maybe to do the opposite where it's a down pulse, right? Then you can control the shape. If you want to just spank really hard, you do that. And then your depth is your only other control, which takes it from no pulse to 100% pulse. So all you have to do is go down here to your macros, to linked parameters, and say to this instrument, down to the effects, to pump house, to depth, select that, bring this down. And now, as you can see, when I move my modulation wheel, I'm changing this parameter with my MIDI CC1, so I can be from 100. And remember, you have all of the parameters available inside of the synth. So I have it doing a filter drop at the same time. I could get this super dark if I wanted to. Then I could have like some LFO thing happening when it's dark. And again, we have lag. So if you want this to be slowed down, it's slowly rising up. Go the other direction. And it will slowly descend into darkness because of lag. This is just an envelope. It's like the decay of an envelope. It's a parameter for doing stuff really. It just smooth, super, super smooth transitions. So you can do it smoother than you can do it if you're just sitting there working with the control yourself, right? So that's the way to get it to take a sound from a rhythmic to a non-rhythmic state using pump house. I don't know if LFO tool and things like that have that kind of a mix ability inside of them. So that's kind of a unique thing that we've got going on. Let me see here. There's some other questions that came up. And if you guys have questions, pop them up too. And I will take a look at them. Let me see here. So recent. How do I load two presets into one instance of Unify, say a bass and a patch? Well, the simple answer to that is that you can go to the new bass split category and just call up one of these to start with. So you go to bass, split. This is just bass and piano. So this is automatically set up. And if it's like, well, I like that piano, but I like whatever better, right? So you just click here. You could say all my instruments. I don't like that way of looking. I'm gonna go over here to by company. Say I want the wave station piano for some reason, because I like. And that was not until ROM 3.4. When did we do the piano? We could choose one of these electric pianos or something. Here we go, the piano. So there's your wave station piano with wonderful loops. There's no loops at all in the Steinway piano that we have here. If you listen to this, it rings out. No loops. So that's a whole. But it's like, oh, I want a different bass sound. So you can go over here and say, this is a dark bass. Just say, I want this to be Serum, for example, by all instruments, or D50. What the heck? Let's have fun. Oh, wait, it might do its licensing. Do I have my authorization? This drives me crazy. So Serum is happy to be called up. Here's Serum. And go to Plugin Guru, Mega Magic, like Epic has some really nice basses. So you have fun. So just so you know, this is a bass patch from our Mega Wave. There's 2 libraries, Epic and Evil, or you can get the 2 together as a bundle. Hold on one second. A note from my sweet daughter. Oh, good. Oh, yay. Sorry, kids take priority. So it's very easy to sub out. If you want to start from scratch, it's init, and I want to build my own bass and split. All you have to do is, well, we're going to have 2 layers. So let's automatically say 2 empty layers. And the top layer, you just right click or control click on this. And I'm going to say stop at what note I want this bass sound to stop at. And then do the opposite to the second layer, right click or control click and play C. And there, I now have where I could have this. I can now quickly go down to this replace layer presets. I'm going to show you how to make your own layer presets in a minute. Let's say a pad bright. So we have, let's do a cool 80s revival. Let's go down here to DX. Let's say basses. So bass bank. There we go. That's perfect. Everybody get on your 70s exercise little rainbow clothes and Top Gun, man. And remember with DX, the cool thing is that you can double click, go to the cart. There's 32 basses that I've picked out. If it's the wrong octave, you can hold down Option, and we have a power shortcut that will take this up and down by octaves. If you just normally click and drag, it goes by 1, so you can eventually get to 12. It's just really cool if you hold down Option, it will do that. So you take it up an octave and then I want to have something else layered with this. So I go to the right-hand part that I want to double and just say duplicate. And I've made 2 layers. And let me see something. Let me go over here real quickly and sign in to our friends at Roland. Oh, all instruments are up to date. Okay. So hopefully that means I can say, go away. And hopefully I can go over here and say, add the D50 by company. Roland D50, and it won't pop up for licensing. Ah, cool. So now I have, so I can go selecting some sort of, cool brass, wrong octave, so Option, drag. And I want a chorus on the JX10, so just click over here and say Unify modulation, silky chorus. My bass is kind of wimpy, so we could do a couple of things. Let's say duplicate, so let's go duplicate, and it makes it down here. We don't have the ability to click and drag to move them around, but that will come in the future, I'm sure. And let's go over here and instead, let's say the Guru sampler and maybe just a fat sine wave. Double click the values if you want to just type in what you want. So just like that, I have made a layer of bass and split. I duplicated the right hand and then I duplicated the left hand. And before you've even had a sip of coffee, you can make something really cool that you can now write music with. And what's fun with Unify, think about this, is that you can put basses and keyboard parts that you can play and write at the same time. The normal way of writing is you do the bass line and you play the bass part that you want. Right? You do that and then you go back and oh, and put the wrong. So you have to re-record. Now you can just go. So you're writing, playing bass and the piano parts at the same time from a single plugin if you want. And then you could divide it into two if you need to for separate output control, stuff like that. But there's a spontaneity you get. There's no way you would do that if you're recording them as two separate passes, unless you are a super incredibly talented person that has done sequencing that way for a very long time, right? It's just not the normal way that we work. So that's kind of the fun with all this stuff. Sound guys on my Windows laptop. There was a driver. Yeah, on the PC side, drivers are one of those challenging things that require a lot of work to work with, right? So make sure your drivers are up to date. If you're having problems with software, certain plugins, make sure you have the updates to both the iLock manager, the eLicenser manager, and the plugins. Because we're working with the latest standards in the Juice libraries builds for plugins. So there's possibilities that I've had a number of customers that I've helped where it was an issue with they needed to update. I updated the iLock manager and now my plugin showed up and loaded and worked. So if you have favorite plugins that it's not loading, that is sometimes the issue. There are some that we do have issues with, but cool. Well, now, MJ, we have a new scanner, so hopefully that can work for you. Boy, there's a lot of interesting talk going on here. I'm gonna have to go back and read all this chat. You guys are talking some great things. Yeah, some people are talking about controllers. You don't have to have, I like this for the visual feedback for doing the videos. It's great to have hardware too. So the Korg Nano controls and things like that are really nice. If you do add controllers, we're in Logic where you don't see it, but in the standalone version, if we call it the we can stand up for sex. Right here is where you have your settings as to what things are being talked to MIDI wise. So make sure that you go in and set those up. Let's see, did I quit? I quit, yeah. So Creative Cloud, go away. See if there's any other questions here. Something else I want to really do all the time is use the mod wheel to crossfade between two distinct layers while a third plays on undisturbed. Okay, so this is a situation, let's hit init, where let's say we have a couple different pads. So I'm gonna quickly go replace from layer. Morgan, that stuff's not there yet, so don't ask about that. So we're gonna say a pad. We have this, and we want to duplicate this. and let's choose a different pad. Let's look for a plugin. Let's say we want maybe some more Korg fun stuff. So let's go Korg Wave Station. We want some sort of a, let's solo this so we can hear. Maybe I want that. And then on top of this, I want another layer. Let's go to the Guru sampler to a piano that stays there the whole time. Hold down Option and click over here to change all 3 volumes at once. I'm going to quickly, just because I want it to sound its best, go to Replace Layer Presets to Master to the Master Optimizer. And that calls up Filter, Little Compression, and Loud Max. Now, I want to crossfade between these 2 pad sounds, right? So that would be going over here to your knobs. You want to first learn to CC. If this is blank, it shouldn't be blank, it should be, but if it is, you can right click and say MIDI learn. You can also say assign and assign it to a MIDI CC this way, just so that your controller, you can see it moving this. Then you go to linked parameters, and here's where we're going to say instruments. Well, let's name these. So this is Battleborn pad. This is Wave Station pad, and then our piano. So now when I go over here to the linked parameters, they're named, so I can see what they are, right? Because remember these names for the assignments. I say mix level, and let's just add another one that says Wave Station mix level. And see how it automatically popped up this nice little, this dead center thing. So I'm going to say one go down, and the other one is going to go up, but from here and end up right here. Because what this line is showing me what these current values are, which is what my mix is that I want it to be. If I bring this to here, then when I bring my controller to the max, it's going to get louder than where it is now. So let's just leave it like that for now. Now when I move my controller, look at the volumes. So we're doing a dance now, so we can. And I have, again, remember that you have controls over here. Now for me, that's too loud. So if you notice, I really quickly held down Option and you click this knob, that quickly takes you to the assigned parameters, so you don't have to go like this and like this. It's just a shortcut. So it's mix 1, that's too loud. So I want the default volume to be like a little bit softer. So there. Oh wait, it's supposed to be the other way around. So go like this to like this. And if I move this, now when I move my mod wheel down, and I want the piano to be a bit louder, so I could bring this up because I have a lot of headroom. That's an octave low. So we could hold down Option, go like that. Now, what if you want these to snap? What if you want to say, if you have it at max, it just like goes foop, straight over to one level and to the other? Well, we have curvature. So you can actually do such things if you want as go like this and like this. Let's see, like that, so that it's like loud, then loud. And you could actually make it more radical than this if you wanted to. You could double click to add additional breakpoints and make it so that it's now set up. So let's see, this is the one that goes from minimum to max like this. Double click, there. So now it's loud for one. Now it's gone, and now it's just a Wave Station. So you could do crazy things like this if you wanted it to be a certain one or the other. In the future, we're going to have switches so that you'll be able to push a button and do this as a switch. We're just, it takes a while to write code to do all the things we want to do. And so, you know, Shane is only human, and it's only Shane writing software code. That's not my... But what's nice is if you like this, you can save this and it will remember this position. It will jump as soon as you move your modulation wheel next time you call it up. But what's nice is you can save any position of these knobs. When you save your patch, it snapshots these positions. So you can get that mix and double click right here to call pad X mix. So you know that it's like a X mix. And if you want the curvature to be a little bit smoother, you could do such things as go to the link parameters and have this one be like this. So it jumps up a little bit sooner. And this one goes like this. So it changes. So it's smoother. Right? So there's all sorts of fun ways because of the curvature and the minimum max and the ability to double click and add additional steps. We could have one where this wave station shows up, pops out, shows up, pops out, you know. Watch the volume over here. So there's all sorts of possibilities to play with stuff like that. So let me see. Are there any questions from you guys in the group that I'm missing? Shane is human, Jim. No, but not as we know it. I would agree. Quite a few times I have asked buddy Shane like for something like Pump House. And sometimes it doesn't take as surprising how fast things can happen. So it's nerd pride. Well, it's nice to see so many of you here. Are there any particular questions that you guys have? What was the person you brought around Black Friday? The one that had quite orchestral loops you could modify? I think that was, let me see here. Let's take a look. That was, double click a new thing. That was from our friends at, gosh. Give me a minute, because there has to be a better way to organize plugins in the future. It's just so silly. You know, you look at this list and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was. But it was one that I showed. Does some cool things. It's not Clevgrand. They have another groove thing that they did. Let me see, it'll pop up here. It's like Groove X or something like that. Yeah. Oh, was it Acusonus? I think it was. Was it Rhythmic? Oh, and it doesn't think I'm activated. I am activated. Oh, thanks. That's really funny. I'll go blur that. I love plugins. Let's go just to the webcam for a second because we need to have a little second. I will have to fix it. Guys, that's not cool. My gosh. Okay, so it's activated. Hey, cool. And this has all the different grooves that you can... Was it this? There's also an orchestral one that I was showing a while back. It's not Regroover. thought it was these guys, but there's, oh, you know who it was? I know who it was. The guys that did, I was fairly critical of them for their synth that they did. Where are they? Loop, no. It wasn't rhythmic, was it? It was, but I know. Where's the name? Oh, I can't remember the name. I bet you guys have it already up on the chat. Let me see here, because some of you have better memory than I do. Oh, and we're looking at that way, so let's go back to this. What's the chat say? It's Perks X. Yeah, it was Perk X. Yeah, just check Perk X. Yeah, so I think I have that. If I init, it should show up in here. Does it show up under alphabet? I might not have added it to my Perk X. Here we go. Please don't pop up my serial number or something silly like that. Yeah, so this has the ability to load. And what's interesting is this is sample maps that it displays the result as audio. And then if I hit play, is it play to get it to start? No. That's my own little makes. Oh, these things are all so crazily confusing. It's like, how did we get it to work? There has to be a note. So I'm not talking to this. So I need to get back to talking to. Oh, come on. Rhythmic is made, Perk X is made by. I love it. They don't even show the name of the company. Store. Isn't that funny? Audict, that's who it is. Okay, so it's so crazy. Audict is up here. Perk X. I'm not talking to it by MIDI, so that's why it's not playing. But yeah, but this is actually a pretty cool plugin. I was very impressed with how they do this. All these parts. However, it's killing my CPU just as a simple. You can actually go in and edit the actual MIDI data of each of the parts, which is really impressive. So you can double click and move things around, change the timing, all sorts of stuff. But it's just crazy. They're so CPU heavy. Yeah. Everybody does it their own different ways. So I think this is where we are on this Unify. Nope, that's this one. Any questions? I was trying to look to see if there's questions from you guys. What's your favorite drum plugin? Oh gosh. Super Macho Drums is my favorite. Just because of how fast and immediate it is to work. If you go all instruments to contact. There, you know, I also like Drum Lab is really cool. Have to remember, as someone that makes sounds and develops sounds for a living, I don't work with these in the same way you guys do. So a lot of what I do is you know, Super Macho Drums. This is Mega Macho Drums, which I released many years ago as a licensed through here, but I didn't like that experience very much. So now you need to load Super Macho Drums just as a quick load, and The thing that I like with Super Macho drums by far is the fact that you just load something and it loads up all of these samples. There's 61 samples. If I want to put reverb on this snare, I want these to be different pitch, different pan positions for each one. It's really easy. And then we have a MIDI groove player inside of this, so you can choose from all the different grooves that have been added over time and just say load and hit play. We're gonna go pop rock. Right? And then you just click and drag to drag the MIDI file out to your desktop or to your DAW, whatever you want. It lets you work with grooves in some really cool, fast ways. Other ones that I really like, I do like DrumLab, which I really replace, yes. Which is fun because it's doing more of like, you have an electronic layer and then you have the acoustic layer, which is kind of funky. And you can get to the parameters per drum, but you don't have 61 samples across the keyboard. And then over here, you have all sorts of different kits to choose from, both in different categories. You can say dirty. They're very unique. And also what's fun with this is the ability to go in and easily mess up. Get my audio to work again. You could go to the snare and it will load up and replace. Hello. Then you have a mix between the two layers for each drum. So there's your acoustic, electric. So you can mess things up pretty easily. So I like DrumLab because it's just not your normal, just clean drum sounds. There's so many different things that do clean drum sounds that, you know, if you need that, there's, you know, all sorts of drum plugins that do that type of stuff. I like DrumLab because it gives you the ability to get into some that kind of stuff. So that, you know, that's one solution. Thanks for that. Yes, send support at bungu.com. Can DrumLab do 808s? No. It's DrumLab's not designed for 808s. 808s, there's you could use a real TR-808 to do that if you wanted to. The Roland Cloud, if you go to Roland and if you want to do their subscription, they have the 808 and the 909, and they nice. Oh, this is so funny. Okay, so it's real hard to do this stuff in a live setting because you've got, gosh, let's go away. Can't show you. Oh, there it is. It's at least playing. And I'll break down audio a little bit every now and then. But they have all the different presets. That breakdown's because it thinks I'm not authorized, although I am. Right? So there's that option. There's other options to do bass. I love Sublab for 808 kicks. There's all sorts of different choices and options for 808 kind of stuff. Let's see. Uh, Revolution Contact Library have most machines. Yeah, that's a good one. Revolution from Contact is good. Mars also has 808. Are users allowed to create libraries with Unify? You can. It's done with text editing. It's not done with a graphic editor to the sampler. If you email me at support, it's Unify support at pluginguru.com, I will send you a link to a file and explanation. Hey, Shane, should I share it publicly? We've made a little document explaining this, but we don't do tech support on this. So it's really tricky to get the hierarchy of the folders and the sample folder where you put the samples and then the text file above that. You can load your own wave samples into Unify now. It can do it. Let me give you the link. I'll show you where it's at. So let's see, over here. This is under, I think, the freebies folder I made. Go to the date modified. Here. So this is a simple example. I'll put details about putting own samples into the Unify manual. Okay, so that will be added soon. Shane will add it that way. I will do it that way instead of publicly. Yeah, Waves compatibility is a challenge. We apologize for that. We have talked to them, but we try to be compatible, but everybody does things differently. And so it's like I've said many times, plugin support is wild, wild west territory. And it takes a lot of work to get certain plugins to work because of how companies are protecting them, how they are, the way that they're coding them, all that stuff is unique. It's not the same from plugin to plugin. It's like Steinberg said, all right, here's this format, and kind of gave you the rough parameters without giving you all the details. And now everybody is supporting it and working within these parameters in different ways. And so compatibility is really hard to get to with certain plugins, but we will try. Yes. So some people asked about the authorization. So I'll just say here real quickly, when you buy Unify, you have 3 authorizations. An authorization is to your computer, and you won't have to authorize it again unless you erase the hard drive. But if you have a situation where you run out of authorizations, just contact me. We're pretty easy on that stuff. It's not a big deal. Some people have formatted their, I don't know why, but I had a couple of customers in the last couple of weeks that have formatted their hard drive, not because of Unify, but they just like to format their hard drive, I guess. And each time they do that, they wipe out the authorization. I'm like, well, slow down a little bit. Don't do that. Yes, there are some presets. Thank you, Stan. And there's other ones I believe I'm supposed to need to authorize. At the forums.pluginguru.com, there's an area for presets. You can share your own presets and you can download presets. So people are starting to share these 425 patches. These things are clearly just a drop in the bucket to what we can do with Unify. So it's so cool. This kind of stuff all alone, there's so many places to go because there's 12 libraries of samples. This is combining voices with Bang Magic pads, with violins, with viola, all sorts of things. So I can't wait to see what you guys continue to come up with preset-wise. I will tell you that we are working on our first handful of libraries to release for Unify. There's a library that Laurent, Mr. Airwave, is working on that will cause you to, let's just say if you don't have Serum, get Serum, because you will need Serum for this library, and you will be glad you have it. Serum is a really cool synthesizer, and the first library from him will be tied in with Serum. I'm working on a sample-based library. There's someone I'm working with on a cinematic effect transition hits drums kind of a library. So we have all sorts of things that we're working on in the future to release for Unify. Plus, I can show you real quick. Oh, I don't know if I have it here. I probably don't have. Yeah. Well, I could. No, I won't show you right now. But we'll be showing you soon for an update. Probably second half of February, March will be when we're looking at bringing out Morgan. Hopefully, we'll see. We have a few things we want to do to it, and we are looking at some the interface graphics options are interesting. Oh, one thing, just quickly, if some of you guys that are watching this, if you have experience with these categories, can you please contact us? We are looking to consult with some of these types of things that might simplify it, because it's just the two of us. It's just Shane writing code and me, and so on the code side, we could use a little help to help expedite some of these things that we don't know every detail about. So if you are an expert in Mac installer development or Windows installer development, technical writing like owner's manuals, video editing, that's possible, web development like WordPress, server-side programming in PHP with MySQL, graphic design user interface, or Juice C++ programming, if those are things that you are experts with, Unify support at pluginguru.com. Please send a note to us, and maybe we can look at collaborating with you on some of the things to help us get more done, to get more things out that we want to do, because it takes time to write code. It takes time to test things. It takes time to do the website. It takes time for all these things to do, and it's just the two of us. And we weren't expecting to be this popular this quickly. We thought we had something pretty cool that would be unique, but it's just, we're just kind of like freaked out at how many people have bought Unify already. So thank you to all of you sincerely for buying and for your patience. If you've sent a note for tech support and you haven't heard back, please send the note one more time. It's a lot to manage, and I'm trying to make patches and answer tech support and do the web design, and Shane's got his stuff that's going on. So if you have expertise in those fields, let us know. Might be able to work with you on helping us get more going on. Yeah. Skins. This doesn't use skins in the way that you're familiar with. This is all calculated graphics. The only thing that's the actual image is this little image right here. Everything else is calculated. So it's not something where you can load it into Photoshop and change that. So we've talked about maybe making so you change the colors of things, stuff like that. But it's not skinned. That's why you can do this. And you can change the graphics and you can make it up and down in sizes because it's calculated. All these graphics are done in a way where it's actually done through mathematical equations. Even this little lightning bolt is a mathematical equation. None of these things that you see, these graphics, the icons, basically it's like fonts, if you're familiar with fonts, right? So it's not something that you can love the current skin. But some skinning support will come in the future. Yeah. So we want to make it so you can customize it more than this. But at the same time, just be aware this isn't a skin thing. Like, if you go to most of the plugins, there's a folder with all the different elements that are bitmap graphics, and we don't work that way. Yeah. Editing colors would be great. Yeah. That's at least this where we can start. We need skins for Unify. Everyone's skins. Let's see here. Trying to start. trying to sort sunspot union and expansions to get close to serum. Good luck to me. Yeah, that's the difficult one because serum just has a level of sonic to it that nothing else really can come close to. That would allow third-party companies to allow a lock folder inside Unify so you can access Unify's libraries inside. Yeah. I wish there's a way to have a protected library folder inside Unify. That would allow third-party companies to access a lock folder. Well, we have a system. We haven't really broadcasted a lot yet, but we're not against the idea of third-party companies making their libraries and using our licensing feature that we have to protect their libraries so that there's a layer of protection at least, so it's not just a complete copy over from a torrent site. So if somebody wanted to do a library for, say, pigments, and they did it in Unify, the cool thing here is they could use pigments and make layers and splits with pigments. What's really cool with Unify is that even Zebra, like, Zebra 2 or something like that we all know and love, it's one of our favorite plugins or something, whatever it is, right? And as you can see, I've got multiple formats that it's loading up. But even Zebra, I could go like this, and just by quickly saying duplicate and then duplicate it again, and then have this one stop at C2 or B2, and then this stop at C3, and have this one stop at C3. I have just made a multi with one zebra for the left hand and two zebra for the right hand. And I could save this as a patch and continue to make. You can do things in Unify that would be super difficult and slow, or if you can like right click to select multiple effects in your DAW, that usually incorporates adding more CPU resources. Whereas this works, each one of these is on a separate CPU thread of your computer. So it's super, super efficient as far as the CPU use to the plugins. So any plugin you own, replace that with Zebra, and you can do that with anything. So if you've ever wanted to layer your favorite plugin, we let you do that and then go saving your own patches all day long. So that's part of the fun. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing, and then we'll be saying, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, we're going to go to 2 o'clock today. One more thing. So I'm going to talk to you about layer presets for a minute. Let's do this. Let's say our favorite plugin. Let's keep it simple. Let's just say Massive is one that we want to have a lot of our favorite patches that we use for our productions all the time, right? And so, hello, Massive. And of course, our favorite patches are the Plugin Guru library. So we go over here to the folders and down to, let's see, all these, My Massive, Plugin Guru, Massive, and say that we want to start with some sort of a cool bass as our starting point. So these are here. Maybe dark notch, and let's get this to be mapped to the top. So all you have to do is go over here to the little right little circle, your op button, and say save this layer as a preset, new folder, Massive. And then just call this was a dark bass. And then let's say that there's another, and actually if you want, you can go over here and say dark bass, name the layer, and say save the layer preset. Let's go back to Massive, to dark bass, save, replace. So that way when I call it up, it has that. Let's say I go back to Massive, and I also want to have be some sort of a cool, like a BPM thing I want to start with. Right? And let's call this is a BPM synth pulse. And if I go over here after I've named that layer and say save layer preset, it pulls in that name, go to Massive, save. And let's do one more. Let's say I want to use a really cool pad. So go down here to the pads. And let's say, okay. And this is Sweet PWM. So this is, I could say pad like I do the other libraries in Sweet PWM. however you want to name it, you can do it. And you go save layer preset, massive, save. So I have now made 3 presets for massive into my favorites. So if I go replace from layer presets, on top of everything else, there's now this massive folder. So I've taken my favorite patches and now I can just click that and there's, and let's say we duplicate this, like duplicate, and then let's go over here to replace layer, massive, sweet PDUM. So just like that, I've made presets and I've quickly, if I want to, let's get all carried away. Let's say, let's have one more. Now the other way to do this, when you make a layer preset that shows up here, this is to replace an existing layer. They also show up here for making a new layer from the scratch. By doing it here with the plus, it will add an extra layer. So if I go to massive and I say dark base, and I know I need to hold down option and drag to get an octave higher, I can go right here and I want this to be B, and then right here is C, C. So I've immediately made a base. And then if I love this and I wanted to call this up as a patch for a live show, I could say BPM split, happy massive moment, momentum, right? And I'm gonna make a new library. I'm gonna call this Gig Harbor Live February the 23rd. That's when that concert is I'm gonna do. It's not, but just for fun. And all I have to do, I can fill in the tags, so I don't have to. We don't force you to go through that process. Save, save, and it's there. And now I have a folder called Gig Harbor where I have patches for my Gig Harbor live show. It's that simple to create patches from your own plugins. This is using 3 massive that we've layered together, right? So why are you spinning? If we say all libraries, then it will show up in the middle of all this other stuff when we get down to the BPM split. This was happy GH. Happy massive right here. And it'll take a second for massive because it's got to do its little check. Once it has it, it loads it. So that's the fun, is that you can make your own favorites and save them as presets so that you can call them up anytime you want. Go init, go over here to the replace from layer presets. And if you make your serum patches and then you make your favorite contact libraries, and they could be complete sample library maps that you call up, anything you want, save it as a preset. It could even be with effects. If I wanted to have this with delay and I wanted to have it whatever, and then when I save my layer preset, I have one layer preset I can replace, for example, from Guru Sampler right here. I don't know if you can see this. Let me make sure that you can see this in OBXD. Yeah, let me move this over a little bit. If I go over here to here and I say replace from layer preset to the Guru Sampler guitar, there's distorted rock guitar. And this calls up a sample map and 3 effects. Okay. So it's easy to save not only a plugin, but it's a complete channel strip with whatever EQ, effects, delays, reverbs from us or from anywhere in your system. Any of your audio effects that you want to use are there to work with. So it's pretty cool. Okay, let's do one last check for questions. See if anybody else has any other questions. Yeah, there's a lot of pros to having it be vector graphics. How many physical CPU cores are supported in Unify? There's no limitations. It's whatever your computer has. If you have, and remember with computer cores, they have threads. So a lot of times they hyper thread where you have the core and then you have actually an additional software made core, so they can duplicate it. So that way Unify can take up a software created core or a real core. So if you have a 6 core, then it's got 12 layers of CPU processors ready to go. So there's no limit. Good to see Woody here. Good to see you, man. Hey, Woody, I need to see. The free Tal Juno plugin. I think we talked to some of them, and some people don't want to give away free plugins to be included inside of a commercial product. We're not making. We're incorporating them and working with them, and it's great that they're a part of Unify. And that philosophy, some guys were like, sure, we want our plugin to be everywhere and be used, and we love the fact that 20-year-old plugins get it like a revival in a way for some of them that we're including, right? Some companies don't want to do that, so they won't let us do that. How to play drums on the keyboard. What are the tips? Well, oh my goodness, my friend. Watch drum videos. If you can practice on a drum set, even if it's just a little bit, it makes a huge difference. Because you will start to realize there's basic rules. It's like rules for anything else. There's the hi-hat, and then your foot's playing a kick drum, and then your left hand's playing the snare drum, typically. So that means you don't have like a... You have to have it organized. And the simplest organization, and why techno, because techno is super simple, is that you have your right hand's playing a hi-hat, right? And then you can start embellishing with that or going to different genres and so forth. And then I've played drums most of my life. So I'm just, I visualize myself as a drummer and the controls that I have on the drums. If you want to get really tricky, you can do things where you layer the same drum on multiple notes. So you have some drum kits do that. I designed kits like that way back on the M1 when I played live with Jordan Rudess and Jack Hotop at the NAMM show, and I was the drummer. And then Jordan Rudess is over here playing all the keyboard parts, and Jack Hotop, both are monster keyboard players, and I was the drummer between them. And so I had 2 notes for kick drum. I had 2 notes for snare. I had a couple for the hi-hats, because there's times where you can use both hands, right, like that. So it's nice to have. And just practice. Fun stuff. So it's just practice and realizing anything you do with any instrument outside of synthesizers just requires a little visualization of what that instrument can do. What is it supposed to be, right? Yes. Woody, send me I need to talk to Woody just offline, because I'd love you to do a video on Unify. Share it with your people, your friends, and stuff like that, your channel. Woody's a good guy. Make sure you follow Woody's channel if you haven't. He's got some really great things that he has on his channel that he shared with people and stuff like that. Let's do our shout outs. There's so many people here. It's so cool. So yeah, repetition is the mother of all skill. Anything you do, do your hand and piano practices. Get out some classical piano pieces to work on repetitively doing the same thing to bring up the muscles. I've sat on airplane flights next to Jordan Rudess, going to Corrigan, working in Japan, where he has a little wooden, pulls it out of his bag. It's a little wooden piano action. And he would sit there on the flight and do scales the entire flight to work on the muscles on his hands. And it's just crazy. That's the kind of dedication you need if you want to get to that level of performing where he's at, stuff like that. So shout outs from wherever you are. Minden, Germany. Good to see you, MJ. Shout out from Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, the Thomas brothers, they're so cool. They send me notes and keep me informed with stuff that's going on. If Tal doesn't want to go to Unify. Made his way to try Synth 1. Yeah, Synth 1 crashes. I love Synth 1, but it crashes Unify terribly. It's not stable. And we can't find the creator of Synth 1 to try to update and stabilize the code. Shout out Hampton, VA. Shout out from Shannon up in the northeast of the Plug and Guru house. That's funny. Shout out from Copenhagen. Good to see you, JX3D, my friend. From Belgium. I love how international this is. You know, Oliver, man. Hey, hello, Paris. Cool. Coxa, middle of the night in Thailand. The most dedicated person. Yeah. We are trying to get a hold of some of these people. Some of these software programs that are free are so old. We've actually done small fixes inside of most of them, the ones that we have to like make sustain pedal work or make us there's a way to turn modulation off. We've done small things to them and got them to the developers so they could incorporate them. But there's like Synth One and some of these that are not into, we can't contact them. We're trying. St. George, awesome. Good to see you. Mr. Tom, it's nice to see you at the NAMM show. So many of you guys I got to meet at the NAMM show. It was really, really fun. ADO, boom. Dude, I'm going to see you this coming week. I'm going to San Francisco on Tuesday for 4 days, so that will be really fun. Kingston, Canada, of course, Shane, my brother. Hands together, head bowed to that man. Everybody say shout out to Shane. Shout out to Shane. Out to Shane. The insane Shanester. This would all not be possible without him. So we shall shout out. Yes. Yeah, shout out to London, Brussels. I'm going to be in Germany 2 times. I'm going for Super Booth, and then I'm going for the Tom and Synth event in May to Treppendorf. Yeah, shout out to Shane. Big shout out. So cool that we have this tool to work with. And I'm so lucky that we are... Oh, and hit this, yeah, smash the like button. I'm supposed to say, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Down there, hit the little tiny bell notification so you know when videos are live. You know when we do a live stream, you'll get a notification. So add that notification, the little bell thing. That way your phone or your iPad or computer will pop up and say, Plug and Guru is live. Because there's times where I might do a live stream without it being on a Saturday. We'll see. So I can't wait. I've got all these new software tools to play with and the new cameras to go like this and get everything to be working in cool ways. You should see, check this out. So if I go just webcam, check this out. So there's this huge stands over here on both sides that go up. And then right there is the webcam. So if you go just the webcam, there it is up there. It's gonna get more smooth and better and beautiful and all that kind of stuff in the future, but I'm hoping to have 4 webcams operating here pretty soon, so that will be a lot of fun. All right, well, thank you all for joining. You guys are awesome, and it's very fun to have something like this to show you that will continue to grow. We also have stuff for other things happening, so we are the Plugin Guru. We will make libraries for other plugins too. So it won't be just Unify, but at the moment it's just Unify because there's just so much to deal with. So cool. Oh, KK in Poland. Good. Nice to see you. Welcome. Welcome. I love seeing all these new countries and new places I haven't seen before. Insane. Insane. Heard the call for graphic or web designer. Okay. Oh, thank you. Hans, I appreciate that. Hans sent a note. That's nice. Great stream. Good. Hey, Big E. Good to see you. Shout out real quick to the ESC. They do have a library you can find if you're into the deep forest kind of patches. Triple spiral audio I believe is the website. If you just type in triple spiral ESC Omnisphere, it's a library for Omnisphere. Yes, nice to meet you too, Jammin. Yeah, it's a fun NAMM show. Very fun. I didn't get to see as much of it as I wanted to, so I've been watching YouTube videos lately to see the different things. I didn't even get to go play some of the new synths. I did spend a little time at the Korg booth playing with Wave State, which is really cool. Shout out to Bernie. Right on. Yeah. Oh, nice. Hello, Russia. Fremel. Good to see you. Welcome. All right. We are out of here. So thank you for joining. We'll see you next Saturday. I think it might be a Sunday live stream. Let me see here. What is, yeah. Next live stream will be on Sunday. We will do a Sunday live stream because I will be in San Francisco until the 8th. And then I'm not going to try to do a live stream in San Francisco. There's no real reason to. So I'll do one when I come back, okay? So let's get this to be looking nice and pretty for the end. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for your support, for your patience, for your contributions. If you contribute, if any of you want to police and help out at the forums.plugandgrew.com, we're trying to get that into a nice little community and awesome stuff. All right. Be well. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Okay? Cheers. Bye. And yes.